To figure out your hair type, you gotta figure out your scalp type, your hair thickness, your hair density, your hair texture, and your curl pattern. And at the end, I'm gonna let you know my exact hair type. You probably think you know your hair type when in reality you don't. Your hair type is more than just your curl pattern, and it is more important than you think. That's why I'm helping you to figure out your hair type today so you know which products you should use. Starting off with scalp type, there's 3 different scalp types. There's oily, which looks oily, it's just an oily scalp. There's normal. A normal scalp is just looking normal, it's not too oily and not too dry. And the third one is a dry scalp. A dry scalp seems to be very itchy and it feels like there's a lot of tension on your scalp. So let me explain you why you should know your scalp type, because you need to know your scalp type to get the right shampoo for you. If you have an oily scalp, you need to get a shampoo that gets rid of that oily scalp. A shampoo with ingredients that get rid of them oils, but it should not have too many harsh ingredients, or else you're gonna go from an oily scalp to an extreme dry scalp. Whereas for a dry scalp, you gotta find a shampoo that gives you that moisture, which is a shampoo with a lot of oils in it. But here's the thing. Now for people with a normal scalp, you can't just use any shampoo. I would say you gotta figure out if your scalp tends to get a little bit more dry or oily. And based on that, you gotta choose your shampoo. So if your scalp is normal for like 3 to 4 days, and then you see, okay, it's starting to get a bit oily, you have to get a shampoo that gets rid of these oils without giving you too much moisture, because if you would get a different shampoo that gives you hydration, then you would just overproduce those oils and end up with an oily scalp, which you don't want, I assume. And now let's say if you have a normal scalp, but you tend to get a little bit of a drier scalp after like a week or so, you have to use a shampoo that has moisturizing ingredients in them. Because if you would do the opposite, something that happened to me would happen to you. I have a normal scalp now, but I used to get an extreme dry scalp, but that wasn't always the fact. The problem was I used the wrong shampoo. I was always having this normal scalp, and then I started using this shampoo, which was more for people who tend to have more of an oilier scalp. And what did that to my scalp? It completely stripped me off of my natural oils, and I started going from a normal scalp to an extreme dry scalp. And once I realized, okay, the shampoo might be good, but it's just not for my scalp type, I have to switch it. And once I did the switch to a more moisturizing shampoo with a lot of oils in them, my scalp went back to normal. And for everyone who has dandruff, a lot of people think a dry scalp and dandruff is the same. It's not, it's the complete opposite. It's like having a dry scalp and an oily scalp. If you have real dandruff, you can see that if you have these big yellow flakes on your scalp and your scalp just seems so oily. I would recommend you to go to a dermatologist, because a dermatologist normally recommends you the best shampoo for that. And let's say you tend to have these white flakes and think you have dandruff. You don't have dandruff, it's just a dry scalp, and I already explained how you can cure the dry scalp. Now that you know your scalp type, let's go over to your hair thickness. Hair thickness, what is that exactly? The hair thickness is the thickness of a singular hair strand. And there's 3 different types of hair thickness: fine, normal, and thick. You can easily check that by just pulling out one of your hair strands, and I would recommend you to get one of these hairs back here. Let me do that really quick. Ouch. I got one of my hair strands here now, and now you just gotta feel the hair strand. And let me tell you what you gotta feel. So let's say you can't feel your hair strand at all. It doesn't feel like there's anything here. Then you have fine hair. The best thing you can do is you rub it between your fingers, and if you can't feel anything there, then your hair is really fine. If you feel your hair with your fingers and it doesn't feel like there's a lot here, but it's also like there's still something there, then you have normal hair thickness. And if you can really feel something that's there, then you have thick hair. I always say you compare thick hair to a thread. If your singular hair strand is like thick as a thread or even thicker, then you have thick hair. But let me tell you now why it is so important to figure out your hair thickness. The hair thickness is extremely important for the type of conditioner you use. Based on your hair thickness, for fine hair people, you should get a hair thickening conditioner, because you want to achieve that thicker hair look. And with a hair thickening conditioner, you're gonna get that. But let's say someone with extremely thick hair starts using a hair thickening conditioner. That doesn't make any sense, because the hair is already as thick as it possibly can be, and then you're just gonna end up drying out the hair. Thick hair needs a different conditioner. For a normal hair thickness, I would go based on this. Does your hair tend to get a little bit drier throughout the day, or does it get a little bit oilier? Based on that, if you get more that oilier look and you feel like your hair tends to be a little bit finer, then I would also recommend you to get a hair thickening conditioner. But if your hair tends to get a little bit drier over the day, I would recommend you the same one that I'm about to say for thick hair people. And also for everyone, if you think right now, oh, everything is normal, my scalp is normal, my hair is normal, it doesn't mean it's gonna stay like that forever. So let me tell you what thick hair people need. Thick hair people need a conditioner that's extremely hydrating, an extreme hydrating conditioner, because most people with thick hair lack of moisture. Not everyone, but most of them. Now that you know what's your hair thickness and which products to use for your hair thickness, let's go over on how to figure out your hair density. For hair density, there are 3 types. There's low density, medium density, and high density. But how can you figure out what's your hair density? Let's say you take a look at your head from above. And if you can see your scalp through your hair when it is dry, then you have low density hair. That's a big issue because I feel like everyone feels uncomfortable if you have low density hair, because I feel like nobody wants his scalp to be see-through through his hair. Medium density, you can spot like this. Again, take a look at your head. Your hair looks like you have good density, but there's maybe a few spots where you can see your scalp a little bit, but it's not really that bad. It's still okay. It's not like, oh my God, you can see your scalp and it looks like you're thinning out or so. And for high density, it's when you take a look at the head from above and you can't see the scalp no matter what. There's like no way you're gonna see the scalp. Knowing your hair density is extremely important because a lot of people use the wrong products based on their hair density. And let me tell you now, if you have low density hair, there's a way to save you. Most people, and I also have a few friends with low density hair, they did not have low density hair all their life. A lot of them started losing their hair over the years, but there's a way to regrow their hair. Start applying scalp oils like pumpkin seed oil or rosemary oil daily to your scalp. And on top of that, but not after each other, use a derma roller. Like let's say in the morning you apply the oils and at night you use the derma roller. The derma roller is so freaking good because it stimulates to get those old hair cuticles that seem to be gone now, regrow and make your hair look fuller again. So you might end up going from a low density to a medium density, which is amazing because so many people really underestimate that, and on social media there's a bunch of transformations on that already. For medium density, I feel like you don't have to use any of these products, only if you are really on the lower side of medium density, because I feel like most of the people that have now low density used to have medium density. So don't take it for granted that you have medium density hair now. Make sure to also use a derma roller, maybe just once a day. You do not have to apply all these oils, but just use the derma roller to make sure that your scalp is just having this constant blood flow. And for high density, I don't have to say anything because I feel like everyone with high density hair is just extremely blessed. But based on the products, people with lower and medium density hair, the products you want to get are volumizing products because you want your hair to look more voluminous. Most people with low and medium density hair, they don't have as much volume. That's why you need to start using volumizing products. And for people with high density hair, products that I recommend is definition, because for people with high density, you don't need the volume. You already have so much volume. You have already so much going on in your head, but what you need is the definition. Use gels, use mousses, everything that gives you a good hold and good definition. Now that you know your hair density, let's go over to your hair texture. There's 3 different types of hair texture again: dry, medium, and moisturized. But I feel like figuring out your hair texture is already self-explaining, but you can figure it out like this. Wet your hair, use no products at all, let your hair air dry and see how your hair is. Is it dry? Then you have a dry hair texture. If it's normal, it's like not extremely shiny or so, but it's also not extremely dry. And if you have a moisturized texture, your hair just looks shiny naturally without any products at all. But the thing is, why knowing your hair texture is so important? Just because you have dry hair doesn't mean that you can't get that moisturized look. People with dry hair have the issue that their hair cuticles are just open. They never really seal. And that's why you need to use products that seal the hair cuticle and really give it that shine. For people with normal hair, and I feel like that's most people watching this, you also need products that give you that extra moisture. And for people with naturally moisturized hair, I would still recommend you to use these extra moisturizing products, but don't overdo it because you don't want to get a bunch of product buildup. So for all the hair textures that I'm talking about right now, you need a leave-in conditioner. It doesn't matter if you have a dry texture, a normal texture, or a moisturized texture. Everyone needs a leave-in conditioner. Just based on your hair texture, you need a different leave-in conditioner. So let's say there's two types of leave-in conditioners and you can use one of them on all three hair textures, but you gotta figure out which one. So for finer hair people, I 100% recommend you a leave-in conditioner spray. For dry, normal, and moisturized, you have to use a spray. And in general, for people with naturally moisturized hair, I would recommend only the spray, because if you use a cream, the cream is just gonna look too heavy and too greasy on you. Now, for people with thickness and a dry hair texture, you have to get a cream, or else your hair will never be really moisturized. Going over to people with this normal hair texture, I would recommend most of them using a spray too, because for a lot of people, creams are just too heavy and weigh their hair down. But if your hair tends to be a little bit on the drier side and you realize, okay, my hair is thicker and products are getting absorbed good and don't hang your hair down, you can also use a leave-in cream for medium hair texture. But for most people, I would still recommend the spray. Now that you have also figured out your hair texture, let's go over to figure out your curl pattern. I hate to break it to you, but the curl pattern is really the least important one, because the products that you actually should use should be based on all the other types that I just talked, on your scalp type, on your hair thickness, on your hair density, and on your hair texture, not really on your curl pattern. And I don't want to go through all the different curl patterns that there are. Sure, there's one, it's just straight hair, there's no wave to it, but there's barely people on this earth who have type 1 hair. Then there's type 2, starting with 2A, a little bit of a wave, going to be wavier, but also it's like not that crazy. It's just going all over your hair strand. And 2C is really wavy and getting also into that curly direction. Then type 3 is curly from 3A to 3B. The curls just get tighter from A to C. And there's type 4, which are coils. And the type 4 hair type is really kinky, with A being the least kinky one and starting over to go to 4C. It's just extremely kinky and just this afro already. But yeah, based on the products that you want to use, I would first look all at the different types that I was just talking about before going in depth on the products for the curl pattern. But obviously for people with 2C to 4C hair, those people are more likely to use curly hair products, and people that are like a 2B to A tend to get these more beachy products like a sea salt spray, or you can also use a hair clay. And for people with type 1 hair, you should use products for people with straight hair. Depends on if you want to try to get texture, but if your hair is just pinched straight, then the only thing is you can do rock a hairstyle with extreme straight hair. Now, as a reference and to guide you through, let me explain you what is my scalp type, what is my hair thickness, what is my hair density, what is my hair texture, and what is my curl pattern, and which products do I use. So my scalp type right now is a normal scalp type, but the thing is I tend to have a bit more of that dry scalp, but it's still normal. But if I wouldn't wash my hair for a longer period of time, or if I would use the wrong shampoo, my scalp would get extremely dry within a few days. My hair thickness is the thickest of them all. My hair is extremely thick. When I feel this hair strand between my fingers, it just feels like really there's something going on here. My hair density is also high density. You can see, if you take a look at my head from above, you can't see my scalp at all. There's so much hair going on. My hair texture is naturally dry. Whenever I wet my hair with just water and put no products in, my hair looks most of the time just dry. Yeah, I know it sucks, but it is what it is. And my curl pattern is a little bit confusing because some curls are 3A and some are 3B. So it's a mixture of both. And I would say it's for most people like that, because not every hair strand has the same curl pattern. And now to which products I use. For shampoo, I use a hydrating shampoo. For a conditioner, I use an extreme hydrating conditioner because my hair just tends to be more dry. For a leave-in, I also use a cream because my hair can hold heavier products, and heavier products are better for my hair. And yeah, the rest of the styling products are just based on the curl pattern, which are curly hair products. And yeah, I hope you finally understood why it is so important to know your hair type. I hope you figured it out in this video and get the right products. And if you tend to have the same hair type as me, make sure to check out the products that are linked in the video description. Just go on my Amazon storefront and there you see all the products that I'm using. Don't forget to subscribe for healthier hair, and YouTube recommends you to watch this video. Peace.